I used to think by the time that I was in my mid 40s that I would be the type of woman who always looks put together because I went to school for fashion and all that, and I just thought that, I'd have the put together house and stuff, and I did for a little bit, but now I'm just a woman that is guilty of being human. And as you see right here, well, I guess you can't see it, but I put on this eye mask, and yep, I accidentally tore it with my nail, but you know what? We're still using it because it's still good. It makes me think of, I used to always have this vision that I would be the type of person who would have, the bike and a basket, wicker basket in the front, and I would just be riding my bike, looking so pretty, down to the farmer's market and, pick up some veggies, even though I'm not really a big veggie person, but, we're talking fantasy, right? And some flowers, and then I just glide back home. And the reality is, well, where I'm at right now, it wouldn't ride my bike down there, it'd be too far for me, at least at this time. But even, well, I guess it would be the same distances. Anyway, I'm getting off on a sidetrack from where I'm living now versus where I used to live. But the reality is, when I did get a bike as an adult, I was not looking cute. There was no basket in the front, and it was like, to get down to where the farmer's market was at that time. And it's just like that. Like, we have these images in our head, and I don't know about you. I feel like as I've aged that the gap has gotten bigger. I just feel like I have this image of what I want my life to be like and what it really is. Obviously, by the time that I was 49, when I was younger, I thought that I would have kids and, have this family. And I'm divorced, no kids, not going to have kids unless I, get with somebody who already has kids, obviously. But I don't know. I just never thought that I don't know. I've realized that I think the only way, even though I keep thinking to myself, I want to be ultra organized and I keep looking, and, people will have shelves in their videos and their backgrounds. I have a shelving unit over there, and it just gets cluttered. Okay. Does that happen to you? Can you have a shelf and just have a few things on it and not have it get cluttered? Or do you just put stuff on it and end up getting it cluttered as well? So I feel like with my home, of course, there's the fantasy and reality self. The fantasy self is I would like to have everything cleaned where somebody could just stop by if they wanted to and I wouldn't be embarrassed. And I could film anywhere that I wanted to in my house and not have to clean up first. But the reality is it keeps me from filming, and because I feel like I have to move things first, and it keeps me from having any friends over, or, like I in my former life when I was married, I had themed parties. I would love to have that again, but the house is a mess. So it keeps me from that. And it's just frustrating because I don't know if it's menopause, depression, or what, but I just can't seem to get focused enough to get it clean. I don't know. Do you have that problem? I feel like we're so used to seeing all the Pinterest perfect, kitchens and living rooms. And I feel like, do people, unless you have a housekeeper coming once a week, Do you live that way? Like maybe you do. I don't know. But do you have like the Pinterest perfect pantry and all that stuff or no? Because I don't. But my fantasy self, I want to. And I am such a sucker. Have you seen some of the videos on Facebook or on Instagram where the people have their spice jars all nice and neat and organized in their pantry, labeled? The cereal is all in the glass containers, so pretty. Well, I have tried that. All right, and it ended up that the pretzels that I put in the glass container ended up being stale because I ended up just grabbing the bag and taking it with me, which, okay, into the living room, which I know, okay, that's just being lazy, but you know, and sometimes that's the same thing like with cereal or with spices though. Okay, are you guilty of this where you thought that you didn't have something so in your kitchen and so then you ended up rebuying it or buying it, and then of course like the week after you buy it you find it? Yeah, that's my reality. My fantasy is I just open the cabinet and everything just is so neat and organized, and if my brain is not cluttered with trying to remember where I put things. Oh, and you know what, okay, I know I cannot be the only one. I don't know. This is the thing, okay? The white shirt and khaki pants. Or white pants, but over the years, okay, I've seen so many people, they look so elegant, you know, in their khaki pants or white pants and their crisp white button-down shirt. And I just think that is a look. Yes, I want that look. You know how many pairs of khaki pants? Well, now I just don't buy them, even though I'm still on the look for them, a perfect pair. But you know how many pairs of khaki pants I have bought over the years trying to get that look? I recently came across some photos from when I was in college and on vacation. And it's like, why did I bring khaki pants on vacation? Because they don't look good on me. And anyway, but yeah, so many. So I feel like the white shirt, khaki pants, white shirt is a huge fantasy, like that old money, just elegant, you know, with the scarf or with jewelry. And yeah, the reality is every time I've purchased something to replicate that, don't like it on. But yet on the flip side, my other fantasy self is somebody that takes bold fashion choices and is not quite as far off as Carrie Bradshaw, but you know, like experimenting with fashion, just out of the box, like bright colors, mixing patterns, just so I have those like fantasy selves of how some days I feel like I want to be. And this has been for quite a few years. I sometimes thought like, you know what, I should just go thrifting and try to like do the Carrie Bradshaw look. The problem is when you really only are trying to do your fantasy self and that's what you're shopping for, a lot of times that is why things will just sit in your closet, sit in your drawer. Like if you're not spending a fortune or you already have, I kind of wonder if some of the gap also as we age is because, like, is it because we look at things that we didn't accomplish or that we're yearning still for that adventure? Like for me, you know, I feel like I was more fashionable when I was in college and stuff. So is it that I'm like yearning for that, not that you can recreate or go back in time, but you know, for that feeling of just like doing whatever. And I feel like it might be tied to the anxiety because I wasn't as anxious then. So is that it, that we're looking back a little bit and with nostalgia of, you know, how times were, how we felt, how we were, maybe if you're like me, you were more carefree, Like, is that where the gap comes from? Because you would kind of think that the gap would be less, because as we age, we would kind of accept more of and realize more of who we really are, you know? Like, I am figuring out that I'm not the person that can have the nice shelves with just a few things on them and not clutter them up. But that has taken me like the last 3 years maybe to actually admit that, after getting things that some shelving units over and over in my life. Finally, it's like, okay, like, I'm just not that person. So that's closed the gap between that fantasy and reality self. I do think that when we have a change in life or lifestyle, that it also can lead to that. Because for me, I still have so many clothes from like my corporate days, and I used to always have this image, like a corporate, you know, when I was younger, as an adult, I would be like this corporate woman. And it took me a while to acknowledge that, yes, I still want to get dressed up sometimes and still be fashionable, but I don't know, now I'm kind of leaning more towards that, not totally boho, but kind of maybe like an elevated boho or something. But then yet I like polka dots and glam, but I also like flip-flops and a maxi dress. So it's, and yoga pants and sneakers. So I feel like letting go of that image that I had in my head of, well, I'm not the boho girl, I'm not the flip-flop and maxi dress girl, to being like, yes, I have turned into that woman, and like, that's my lifestyle now. So maybe the gap between reality and fantasy is also kind of admitting where you are right now. Like, if you've had a job change, or, you know, maybe your kids are out of the house now, or just, you know, our different cycles of life, and just seeing where we're at and accepting it and embracing it, instead of looking one way or another. Or is it just that is that just, I don't know, is that just part of life, that we're always going to have this thing, this ideal that we're striving towards, because that's just how it is, and that's how you have goals? All right, and if you haven't, this is just, for a while I was forgetting to use the eyelash curler, and I don't know, this is a side note, I don't know if it's, well, I don't think it's just the eyelash curler. Okay, I was using, this is not it, but for a while I was using the Grande Lash Mascara, and it expired, but I need to get that again, because I feel like after I use that, it's either that or the Prometics or City Beauty Mascara. I was using those, and I feel like my lashes have gotten longer, but it was just like all of a sudden one day I noticed it, and I'm not sure which mascara did it, or if it was the combination, because, you know, so many mascaras nowadays have ingredients, like skincare type ingredients, to help your lashes grow and stuff in there. I've tried a lash serum, but only, I'm gonna say like I never have, because I've never done it regularly. So I don't know. I'm just not a lash serum type person, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so it's gotta be, I think, one of those mascaras, because I don't know what else it would be, because I haven't switched any like vitamins or anything. But it does seem like most of the mascaras that I'm using now, I'm getting length, so I don't know. Or is it just every mascara I'm using lately is giving me length? I don't know. I wish I would have taken better photos. This side note, I know I'm getting off track, but I wish I would have taken better photos and videos of each mascara that I've tried over the years, because I've tried a lot. And I feel like I would just really like to compare in my head this is again, fantasy self versus reality self. I really want to do a like 30 mascaras in 30 days, but that's kind of unrealistic because then that's wasting a lot of mascaras, and it's not like you can pass that along because sanitary things. But so I don't think 30 days, but I really want to try a bunch of mascaras and really compare them because, you know, there's so many claims and so many different ones. Like even one brand, if you go to Maybelline or like L'Oreal, Essence, like there's so many different brand or different types within one brand. So I don't know. Don't you think that that would be interesting? Anywho, that's not what this video is about, but yeah, so I don't know. Does any of this, well, I'm thinking if you're still here listening, then I feel like, whoa, ooh, we got some volume. Obviously, this resonates with you, and either you used to struggle with this and you have found a tip on how not to. Is it just about acceptance? You think that's what it is? It's just about accepting like who and where you currently are? Or do you struggle with this too? And maybe it's got to do more with that whole thing of as we move into middle age and maybe your kids are in a different stage, and so you're now in a different stage. They've moved away from home. They're maybe a little bit older now, so don't need, obviously they still need parenting, but not quite as much maybe as when they were younger. You've changed jobs, you've changed homes, maybe you've gotten a divorce, like whatever. Or maybe there's nothing. It's just, I mean, not just, because midlife crisis, midlife changes is something to it. I mean, menopause, hello. But what was I saying? See, and this is the menopause thing too. I read that brain fog is part of that. And I find myself all the time lately being like, wait, what was I talking about? What was I wanting to do? Maybe there'll always be the fantasy versus reality because of marketing and what ads we're seeing and stuff. And the whole thing, like I mentioned before, about the brands that say they're marketing towards women over 40, but then in their ads, it's like 20-some-year-olds. So if you want to see that video, if you haven't yet, click on that here. And if you want to see some goodies that I just got on Ipsy, you can click on this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will hit that subscribe button and come back and join me here.